around this mid lane.
Right, he definitely wasn't the only standout, but he was doing an excellent job with that early pick Jungle Graves. It was also enabled by the Kikis picking up the Tahm Kench, which, by the way, is that last ban away, but it's G2 that takes it off.
Okay, so they banned the Tahm Kench. Kikis can still stick to different kind of tanks. We've seen Shen top. It is also a very good pick right now. Or we might see him play some carries. I mean, there are multiple ones, Fiora, Quinn, and so on and so on.
Kikis says he can play anything. Like, every time I interview this guy, I can play every champion, doesn't matter where. You know, he seems to have a knack for picking up a whole lot of different stuff.
I would like to see Kindred as a potential first pick for Giants. I think Ku had an okay early game on it. Last time, it is a strong pick. The only issue is that Trick will pick Lee Sin into it, and you can kick Kindred out of her ulti, and it's very effective. I don't really agree with this first pick. I don't think
so much power stuff up, and they pick
I don't think there's a lot of value in picking Braum. I don't even think he's among the best supports. Alistar is available. Thresh for a lot of these mechanically gifted supports is still there as well. I really don't think you have to pick Braum. Well, especially also because you're kind of telling G2 now that if they had planned to draft maybe a poke composition, we now have a good answer. But like, why would you show that as your first pick?
Yeah, very curious. Not to see if they build something specifically around it, but they've left so many powerful choices up. This Elise that's been hovered by Trick.
Fantastic pick.
Very, very solid pick for them. The Fiora we talked about too. The Rise was left open. It looks like it's probably not going to be the choice. Lissandra, as they hovered earlier.
Tons of power.
All these things are up on the board, but G2 can only pick 2.
So I like Elise the most. I think she's the best jungler right now out of all of them. And then it just depends on what Kikis wants to play top. Shen can be a flex pick for support, so I would prefer that over Fiora. And they also lock it in now, so you don't have to show straight away what Kikis is playing. And we know he can take a tank to the top lane, and Shen is perfectly fine for that. I wonder if Giants just wanted to pick Braum to not show anything. They wanted to see a few picks coming in, but then you lose a lot of value by being on blue side if your first pick is not a power pick, you know, where you really can smash through in this pick and ban phase. And with your bans, you set up this really, really important pick. Braum is never going to be that in this meta here.
Right. The only thing I can really think about is maybe Giants are trying to see if they can counterpick, get themselves an early lane advantage against this G2 that was red hot out of the gates, very quick in snowballing their victories.
So if they want to be able to counterpick, they also need to flex pick now. It's something we talked so much about last week. The power of all these picks like Lissandra, they can go mid and top lane and so on. You need to get some of these early so you can hide where you're sending them. So you got the potential to counterpick later on, but G2 is obviously doing exactly the same with a Shen pick very early, so it's going to be difficult for Giants.
Well, they go ahead and take the Lee Sin picked up for Ku, and that Corki, more likely that he carry, but we've been seeing a lot of it in here in Europe and generally all over the world so far to start things off. I don't think Peppy would be picking this one up.
I mean, Peppy plays a lot of different things. He likes to play a lot of poke, so I could definitely see Corki be his kind of pick. He was also one of the first guys to play the old AP Israel and so on, so I wouldn't be surprised. And it seems like Giants are just drafting a disengaged composition with poke. Like, that is what the first 3 picks are telling me. Again, if I can see it, so can Youngbok and G2. And they're basically saying, okay, look, these guys here, they have some poke in there, they have some good disengage. We can either run pure split push against it, and the poke never gets to group up and really do anything. We can start picking some hard engage maybe with our last pick, and so on. And this just gives you very good answers against poke, because now you can either throw in the Thresh as one of your main engages.
Or throw in the Kalista.
You can throw in the Kalista, I guess. You got the Flash Torn from a Shen. You have potential to split push already, and you got very good lanes and good early game. Elise combined with Thresh Kalista still one of the best 2v2 lanes. Very difficult for a Corki Braum lane to deal with, and therefore you force Giants potentially into a lane swap already.
Yeah. Not only that, they're playing to some strengths that they showed last week. Emperor had a monster game on Kalista, 7-1 and 8 in that victory, and Giants are going to have some work cut out for them if they want to stop it. I mean, the spot lane of Emperor and Hybrid has been very strong. Hybrid has also been impressing with his early roams, and I'm curious to see if he continues that trend out of the gates against Giants to get the early vision secured.
He was definitely one of the supports we looked at coming into the split, saying this guy has a lot of potential, you know, a lot of hype.
That word came around a lot, didn't it?
Sure, potential was used quite a lot. And honestly, he showed it last week. He had some great roams, great synergy together with the rest of the lineup. There was like one missed call between him and his AD carry, and that was about it in the 2 games. So I was very happy to see that performance from Hybrid, and it was good to see some of the hype be justified.
Yeah, and that last pickup comes through. Is LeBlanc going over to Perks, which does mean Kikis will indeed be taking the Shen top jungle. And this is very similar to the Tahm Kench in the sense that it's a big tanky character that can also save someone on the map. It frees up Perks and Emperor to deal a whole lot of damage, and if Trick can snowball him early, could be dangerous for Giants.
And it's only the first game now in week 2, and we already see some changes in the pick and ban phase. Ryze and Kindred had 100% pick and ban in week 1. Not picked, not banned, in this specific match here. Obviously, Ryze honestly became a bit of a trap pick, because again, the wave clear wasn't always there unless he had his ulti, a little bit slow scaling at least towards the mid game, and he had issues. So we see some different things. Giants didn't get a whole lot of counter picks coming in, and also Perks are very happy taking his skill matchup very clear in the mid lane.
Oh yeah.
A skill matchup that I favor towards LeBlanc, especially pre-level 6, because you have distortion, you have the mobility, so you can decide the trades. Ahri has to sit back, and if she ever wants to trade with you, after level 6, she has to use ulti on it. LeBlanc can just continue to jump in and be annoying.
That is very true, but you can never count X-Peppy out.
True.
But what do you guys think on Twitter? Send us your predictions for this matchup. At LOL Esports is the place. Hashtag GIA win or hashtag G2 win. Will they pick up their win number 3, or will Giants get themselves on the board? We'll have to find out here in Berlin. We are getting onto the Rift for the start of week number 2 this spring.
Really want to see what Giants can do with this comp here. They have a lot of damage coming in. Ahri, Lissandra, so on, Corki. Great mid-game for this team. But we have seen that before. And the problem for Giants weren't really the compositions. It was more executing them.
Speaking of execution.
Fancy.
Summoner's Rift in all its glory from a bird's eye view as we zoom over to the red side of the map, where we see G2 coming out of the gates. And now we're back into it. Giants going a little farther forward early on. They do manage to clear out the ward from G2 early on and see if they can get some deep vision here. Perhaps looking for the lane swap.
Hey, we talked about it in the lane swap, in the champ select, how Kalista Thresh is still such a fantastic 2v2 lane. And Giants also, both Adri and Godfred, are not known as like great laners. So I can definitely see how Giants would respect that 2v2 and say, we might have to dodge around it. Shen is doing okay in lane swaps himself, though. He doesn't necessarily need the one-on-one lane against Lissandra, where he will be pushed down to his tower over and over and over anyway.
Giants throw down some serious deep wards here and they back off. There were a couple traded by G2 in the bottom side. Typical standard stuff, but you see Kikis hanging around way past that. In the top side, looks like he has no intention of leaving. His Hybrid and Emperor are already down to help the Gromp.
Yeah, and you can see G2, they just put 2 wards in the jungle of Giants at the red buff and at the Crooks here, just to see, okay, are you moving down and starting one of these 2 camps, helping Ku or whatever, and then we can just get some information from level 1. They didn't see anything, so because Giants rush towards the top side of the map and minions are spawning quicker, G2 are gonna assume it will be a lane swap. You can see Kikis grouping the minions to start this slow push towards him. Giants is gonna grab it anyway and force him out of this lane, unless he can hide in the bush. That's a terrible ninja, and he just walks straight out.
Pretty awful. Audrey, Godfred zoning him away to start this game off, but nobody's in the bottom side. You have the double jungle coming in for Adam and Ku, and they will be going for a quick invade here while Trick is occupied on the bottom side.
Very interesting start for G2. In the lane swap, Kick is grouping the minions to start a push towards him. He stays in the lane. Normally he would always double jungle with Trick here. Clear a few camps, and then he would go down to the bot tower. Once the minions hit there, and him, the Kalista, and the Thresh would then start taking down and fast push the tower. That's a standard Western swap. But he's just been trying to soak up some experience. Remember, the range was buffed quite some patches ago, but it is easier to sit in lane and get experience, but you're getting 0 farm. And now the risk is you can get killed on the tower. Giants need to walk up and kill him right now with these 4 guys. He should not be allowed to get anything here.
This is going to be trouble for Kikis. He is on the run, taunts his way out, gets connected on Ku, but he should get within tower range, get safe, but crucially, there is more time, more people of the Giants over here on this topside tower than there are on the bot side. They should be able to complete this fast push quicker.
Yeah, so again, Kick is basically saying, my jungler can get solo experience. Obviously, you get more experience as a jungler when you start with the jungle item here, the Talisman. And I don't want to take anything from him, so I'm going to Zoke experience top, and then I can flash taunt if needed to get away from the tower when they move in to dive me. I would have liked to see Giants be a little bit faster on that one and force him away so he got nothing, because he got enough to get a level at least. So he's sharing the same experience currently as Adam on this Lissandra.
He should get this free farm lane if he bides his time long enough. Well, the tower will go down in the top side. Meanwhile, we saw in the mid just a moment ago. Sick little play there. Peppy catches Perkz with a nice charm right on the edge of it all, but still, he's having a bit of a harder time farming. Back up on this top, though. They didn't manage to finish the tower just yet. And neither has G2 on the bottom side, so they're taking their time about pushing it in. Should be just about 4 minutes, it falls. And they're trying to deny as many minions as they can, but Kikis still picks up a bit.
And even worse for Giants, they didn't get a bounce on the wave. So Kikis, not only did he get an extra CS and a bit more experience, he gets the wave pushing down towards him. So he can now soak up even more. Giants not doing a good job denying him, honestly. A little bit late on pushing him away from tower, and now the wave pushing down towards him. Kikis will pick up whatever he can.
This is characteristic we've been seeing of Giants. We talked about it earlier in the week. They have had good drafts, they've built compositions, but they just haven't been able to execute at the level that is expected of an LCS caliber team.
Yeah, I think debatable if we can call them good pick-up ban phases. I would say they haven't had pick-up ban phases that lost them the game straight up. They definitely had tools to win the games. They just had to execute whatever strategy they had pretty perfectly, and they didn't manage to do it. That's really been the issue for Giants. I had a massive poke comp last week, hit the mid game, and then they keep chasing a Z around in multiple lanes and do nothing for 10-15 minutes, and that's not good enough, and that's why you end up losing.
This Giants squad, they do admit that they're going to get off to a bumpy start in their roster announcement. Coach Lothar, he did describe at length that they think that these two new players, Adam and Ku, were the right players for them despite the LCS inexperience, and in Adam's case, the Challenger Series inexperience that they have. And you know, he just said it's gonna take time. We have to scale ourselves up to be a much better team.
I'm not a fan of this play at all from Giants, because what G2 can do is just have Trick near the bottom side of the map, and they can defend it easy, because if Giants are diving with 4 members, Shen can just TP down to tower, and that dive will never work. So you're basically just pushing in a big wave, and forcing your own top lane now to TP up to the top lane to catch a wave. So you just used a summoner spell, and you allowed Kikis to push 2 or 3 waves down to that tower and just get free experience.
Rick has to burn his flash real quick, though. He might be in a world of hurt as he jumps back onto Peppy, but he's caught and stunned. First blood goes to Audrey's Corki. G2 overextending there. Trick, at least.
Yeah, just as we mentioned, our Giants didn't have the best move in this lane swap. Trick decided to invade on his own.
Wow. Goodbye.
Pirate, this is a bit what we mentioned, how LeBlanc can always force the fight to see bot lane.
Audrey's gotta jump his way away. Godford's in front of him, unbreakable. No tower to fall back to, though, as he sends the Foss Bomb. Emperor and Hybrid zone them out of lane. Despite the fact that the gold was even just a moment ago, it bounced right back up in G2's favor with that pick that Perkz was able to take.
But this mid lane matchup, again, LeBlanc can just constantly, with Distortion, decide when do I want to fight you? When is the wave in the correct position? When can I go in for a good trade? How can I dodge your charm? And so on and so on. And Perkz has been using that lane control. He waits for the right moment, and he clearly surprised Peppy in the mid lane. And he picks up that kill. That's a great solo kill. Something we don't see very often.
Top it off, he's got a 20 CS advantage. We're 7 minutes into this game. Emperor and Hybrid are pushing on the second tier in the bottom lane, and there is absolutely no response. Giants are acting far too slow.
Yeah, it's difficult once you start setting yourself slightly behind in this swap. Not a whole lot here for Giants, but they didn't really gain anything, and Trick was the man who made the mistake before for G2. Got a little bit too greedy for the deep wards. Walking in behind 3-4 members of Giants, and Hybrid again landing that hook on the Thresh. We know he's a mechanically gifted support, and that's why G2 wants him to play stuff like this. Combine it with the Kalista for Emperor, and you have a very good Chili 2 lane.
Yeah. Keeping Trick on the bottom side, too, keeps the pressure on. Godford and Audrey are in the cooker at the moment. Will not be able to farm exceptionally well, and there's still no help coming. Ku needs to be in this bottom side or applying pressure elsewhere, but he's just back to base. It's going to be at least half health before anyone can get there. Peppy is coming down to relieve some effort. See if it pans out for him.
Another hook.
Catch on to Godford. They don't need to go in, but they will flay him back, dodging the Q. They're pinging Peppy out, too. They know he's here.
You said it yourself before, though, Pyra. Giants are just a little bit too slow in what they're doing. Ku finds Trick, but this time there is backup. You can see down the bottom lane, we have G2's dual lane, and top lane, Kikis is trading against a no-mana Lissandra.
That is usually not going to go well for Adam. He uses the last of it to claw his way out. But Giants seem to have firm control on the map at the moment, despite it only being a 700 gold advantage. 8.5 minutes into this game, and we will see Kalista throwing Hybrid in, knocking Audrey up, but Godfred prevents the extra damage, and Gatling guns Hybrid, making him think twice about going further.
All right, this is where G2 needs to slow down a little bit. That play was extremely, extremely aggressive, and it was honestly just a 2v2 near the enemy tower. Maybe they're trying to force a flash from Audrey, but you can see he didn't react at all. He's just like, I don't care. Like, it's just you two right here. We have wards in our own jungle. There's nothing really G2 could do with that one play. But aside from that, you got level 7 on your Shen, so you have the double global now. Still no TP for Adam, so Giants can't really force a play. When there's a global advantage for the enemy team, that's always the issue. It's why we so often see focus on these top laners, because once you have that lead, you can use that global to your advantage. Ku, however, he's here to gank Kikis.
Kikis has already blown his flash and his taunt, and Ku kicks him right back in. Adam frozen tombs him. Kikis still burning away. Who will they give the kill to? It's Adam. Picks up his first of the game.
Nice little sneaky move here from Ku, invading into the jungle of G2, despite the bot lane were pushed down so heavily to the tier 2 tower. I think he surprised Kikis and G2 right there. They were not expecting him to sit behind them. Kikis thought he could take another wave and then recall.
Oh boy.
Good time from Peppy.
Did manage to land the charm, so he traded fairly even, but Peppy has had a hell of a time, still sitting 20 CS back, and the early magic resist pickup for Perks has certainly helped out. Hybrid's waiting in this brush, though, for Peppy to step too far.
And when you have these very explosive lanes, you constantly see trading.
Charms again.
And also you see items like Abyssal Scepter coming in as the first one, because you want that extra damage, but you also want the magic resistance against each other. It does delay the Frost Queen's claim, but then again, you can just get it as a second item, and it's still fine to pick off targets, because right now it's about the laning phase, and they're both building towards it.
Well, Peppy has called in some backup. Godfred standing in the back, actually, as Audrey was solo on the bottom side to pick some farm up, but he runs smack into Hybrid and Emperor, and he has to get out of there. Falk his way out of the chains, or rather the death sentence.
And we can just see again G2. They send Shen back to top lane. For them, that's almost a dead lane. It's just Shen sitting and clearing the wave. He's going to do nothing else. He's not going to be aggressive or anything. It's all about playing around Hybrid Emperor, who's winning the 2v2 lane bot lane. It's about playing around Perks, who's winning the mid lane. This current meta, if you want to break it down very, very simple, always aim to have 2 winning lanes, and then you can control the map, because it means you can pick a jungle side and you can always invade into that side, place your pink wards, place your deep wards, and then you can see what happens. But this is a good move from Giants.
Aggressive moves, and they're about to be a 4v3. If Emperor even lives that long, burning down along with Trick, repels up, Godfred's in there. Peppy takes out Emperor, but now Godfred uses the last of his life to just narrowly escape as he gets the knock-up, and Kikis comes in too late. Adam will take down Trick. Kikis not quite connected by the Lee Sin Q, and they trade a whopping 1-for-3. Giants in the lead now.
I really like the play here from Giants. They realize we have to do something. 2 lanes are losing. They're going to take out towers. We're not really getting anything. You use the Lissandra TP to flank. At the same time, Perks were recalling. That means the rest of G2, oh, Kikis.
Even more. Well.
So basically, when you want to keep that pressure in 2 lanes, if one guy wants to go back to base, everyone has to back away. Because then you don't have pressure in 2 lanes anymore, because Perks were recalling mid. That meant Giants could force a play on the bot side and be 5 versus 4. And they didn't have to fear anything. So G2 should simply just have backed away as soon as Perks wanted to recall. We missed this one before, the Keystone Masteries for everyone at home.
Shiny new graphics.
Shiny new graphic. We're going to see some AD carries with the Fervor of Battle. Very strong right now for AD carries.
The League of Thunderlords, and you'll see why in a minute as Hybrid is going to get popped by a Roccat. Audrey picks up a spree kill. 3-0-2 on this Corki, and that means it's Dragon time, boys.
It's another good move from Giants, and the one mistake we saw from G2 last week was once they had a small lead in a lane, they tend to be a little bit too aggressive in trying to push that lead. So when they didn't have a teleport last week against Roccat, they still went for 5v4, they lost it, and they fell behind. Here, Perks were recalling in the mid lane before, they kept pushing bot lane, and they got ganked. 5 versus 4 again, Perks jumping in, and that is why LeBlanc wave clear against people who are sieging on you is so risky.
Talked about Giants building towards a poke composition, but the way they rounded it out has certainly given them some harder engage, and it's worked wonders here as G2 have overextended. Still plenty of time for G2 to get back into this game, but for the moment, Giants have a power play available to them, and they are looking to make the most of it.
It looked pretty bad for Giants before. 2 winning lanes for G2, and then that mistake. Suddenly you slip up. Giants gets a great opportunity. They have good engage here. Lissandra teleports for flanks. We know the Lee Sin players in Europe are fantastic. They can set up these kicks so effectively. We saw Gilius do it last week. We saw Shook do it, and so on and so on. Ku is another one of these young junglers coming in with insane mechanics who all master Lee Sin. EU supports will take the Thresh. Junglers will take Lee Sin, and so on and so on.
Hook narrowly misses onto Adam, but now he knows there's double, maybe triple pressure on the top side. We won't be able to clear too much of this wave away before Emperor gets his hands on this tower. Giants ping, or rather, G2 pings out as they see the duo lane coming down up the top side. Perkz is going to back away as well. G2 seem to have learned their lesson here, but they still are bleeding a little bit. Down 1,500 gold as Trick gets charmed, but he's out.
Yeah, that's the big problem for G2. Now they've lost the tower. That pressure they had before has kind of been slowed down with Giants picking up so many kills. And Giants are just waiting for Adam to get his teleport back up, put him in the side lane and look for another pick, because again, we mentioned earlier how much burst they have. Shen and his shield in a normal situation against like fairly slow DPS will almost always work, and he will get there in time, he will join the fight. Against Ahri, Corki, Lissandra, even a Lee Sin kick, the burst he has early game with Warrior Enchant, that's enough to burst through the shield of Shen. He might not even be able to join the fight because he just instant kill that one target. That's going to make it difficult for Kikis when he's sitting there split pushing. It gives you that false sense of security. Oh, we have Shen, don't worry. And then you just die in a second because you take like 2 million damage basically. And Shen couldn't do anything.
Not only that, but they've been able to gank the teleport, taking Kikis out in his comfort zone. Take a look at Trick. Stats for him last week were absolutely insane. That's what earned him the MVP award. But this game, it's just not been anywhere near as good. 0-2-2 to start this off on this Elise. And not for not trying, but Giants have been able to stop him in his tracks.
He had that mistake in the early game in the lane stop where he decided to invade in alone to put deep wards, and Giants collapsed and killed him. And then also, because it's been a game of just pushing waves over and over, he hasn't really been able to do anything on this Elise. And Giants constantly putting pressure on the towers. You got poke from the Corki with Trinity Force. You have charms firing away from Peppy. One of them hits, and then you can expect Giants to go on it.
You got that Triforce relatively early, too. He was able to pick up some early kills. 12, 11 minutes, is that about normal?
Ah, yeah, okay. Yeah. Give him a minute. You're right.
Yeah, I mean, not too much, but it really enabled by the fact that they just got off to a flying turnaround after the mistakes by G2. Giants, Ku will pull the Rift Herald out, but it might be a slow pick on this one. He's going to need some help from Peppy to finish it off. Nonetheless, they take out that tower in mid, so 2-1 is that score. See who they give this over to. I wouldn't be surprised if it's Peppy.
And we just see how quickly the game can change. Because G2 and their comp here, it looked really, really good. Winning mid lane, winning bot lane, you know, pressure these lanes here. So we didn't really have to highlight, oh, okay, the wave clear in this lineup is super, super weak. Like, it's a LeBlanc jumping in with Distortion, or it's a Hurricane Kalista later on. That wave clear doesn't work when people are sieging on your towers. It's too risky, you need too many hits to really do anything with it. But because they were winning lanes, which is what they picked for, it was okay in the start. But once you then start making the mistakes, your comp just started looking so bad because your team can just start grouping on your towers and you can't do anything. You have to force a fight. We're gonna need to see Hybrid get thrown in there with the Shen ulti on for G2 to force these fights. They cannot make more mistakes because then they fall too far behind.
You're absolutely right. And at the moment, you can see them still trying to make picks, but Audrey's just way too slippery. That close call a minute ago, he just saves and waits on that Valkyrie. He knows he can get out of harm's way. He hasn't really had to burn his flash for much this game. G2 will find a moment to grab a tower up in top, so they will even that score, but not for long, because Giants are able to do the same thing on the bottom side. And now they can send Peppy back. He's got a slightly quicker recall with the mini Baron buff. And they can push on this bottom turret, and it looks like it will be a trade continuing, but Perkz is also unopposed in the mid, at least until Ku comes around.
But this is a Giants team who were in the advantage, on who had the advantage. They had the map control. They could siege pretty effectively on G2 or pressure them on the tower. So trading is not the greatest, especially not because the mid lane was left completely open. The Giants getting too greedy for the bot lane tower. Let's see what the package can do.
And he spends it. But the Spider comes up, the Spider goes down, Emperor throws Hybrid in, they get a playback, and Audrey gets shut down! Emperor picks up his first kill of the game and a nice chunk of change in his pocket.
Story for Giants in the first week of the LCS continues in the second week. We see some good plays. We can praise it. And then
the mistakes
start happening. So often it comes down to the shot calling of this team. If you want to invest 5 members on the bottom side here, you need to make sure your other lanes are pushed out. G2 were already pushing mid lane and top lane by the time Giants showed up bot. So they lose 2 towers for it. Then they panic a little bit and say, we gotta make up for it. We gotta get some gold back. And Adri goes in on his own on the top side. His team couldn't follow because of the package. And that was the side G2 just had every single member on. They'd just taken the top tower. So obviously they just returned. They're like, oh, okay. He's chasing us 1v4 basically. And they pick up a free kill. These are the mistakes Giants are constantly going to look at in these VOD reviews. When they go home after the games and be like, here and here and here, we make some clear mistakes. I want to see this team, if they can manage to fix it. If they can improve the macro strategy, the shot calling. Because I think they have some good individual players who can make some of these big plays. It just always seems to fall flat when then the shot calling fails and these mistakes happen.
Some of the same problems we noted for them last year. They did make improvements, this Giants squad, in the 2015 season. It was very slow. And we saw them finish as high as playoff contention. But this time around, they said, give us time. We will be a great team. Ku and Adam will step it up, but will it be now? Godfrey gets hooked on a line, and he sends them flying as they take down Hybrid. Trick is burning away. Perkz is kicked into the team, and he's trying to distort his way out, but Ku takes him down. Peppy narrowly escapes, and the red buff is even in the mix as Kikis is fired down by Audrey, and in goes Ku. Double kill for Audrey, looking for 3. Emperor hops the wall. Will he go in? Yes, he does. Emperor's trying to escape for him. Bounce ball doesn't connect. Audrey can't do it. He won't go forward. No ace this time.
So honestly, I feel like we can say the same thing for G2. There's some good players in there that can make some big plays, but then sometimes the shot calling can also fall apart. Walking up the jungle here for G2. Emperor was sitting in the mid lane. He wasn't there in the start of the fight. The Giants had a great collapse. G2 could see them, multiple of them around. Let's see what happens now. They're chasing for Ku.
Sends a kick onto Kikis.
That was beautiful, by the way.
He has a really quick speed buff.
Ku just stopped the home guard instantly with that Sonic Wave here. That was very, very beautiful.
It will, however, open up a window for G2 to start on this Baron. Can they take it in time? Teleport coming in for Adam, racing to defend this, but Ku is back. They don't have the smite available to try and fight for this one. Can Adam interrupt? Chili Ghosts are out. Hybrid throws the box.
Let's go in, man.
He's gonna go in to try and make the play, but he's already getting chunked down. The chains are on him. Baron goes down, and so does Adam. Shut down, however, is given over to Kikis. Rather, that's the one that they were looking for, and insta-popped. Audrey goes in without nearly enough backup. G2 don't lose a man, and they've got a Baron buff.
This is a crazy game where I feel like when we praise one team,
the other one starts doing well.
Then the other team starts doing something, and the other team messes up, and they keep like trading.
Welcome to the caster curse, Officio.
Keep just trading kills left and right, and then Giants gets a great team fight. They all recall and lose the Baron. Now Ku dies.
Oh boy!
As well.
Hanging around a little longer.
What's going on?
I don't know, and Peppy, he's gonna try to answer back, but they got the Shen ultimate stand united. And G2 United will start pushing down this mid lane with the Baron empowerment. 4 members on as Trick goes back to base. Giants rushing to defend without their jungler now. It will be a 4-on-4 for the moment.
Yeah, we got a lot of AP damage on the side of Giants. That's gonna be very difficult for them. It means it's difficult for them to clear the wave here with the Baron buff minions as well and the extra damage they can deal. Obviously, we just need a ban on command to make it impossible.
Soon.
Maybe later, who knows?
We'll see.
Not exactly building towards it, but anyway, there's a ton of magic damage on the side of Giants. We have Roccat obviously from Trick early. That's gonna make the itemization fairly easy for G2. Especially because Corki does so much magic damage at this point as well with the cooldown reduction build. Alright, let's see the fight. So there is vision on a lot of the members from Giants, and G2 get trapped in the jungle. You can see here Kalista joins very late, Ku as well, but he can kick in Perkz and face plants into the wall. Honestly, just a super messy fight from G2 and Giants using the burst we talked about, the amount of CC. Pick a great fight. They get all the kills, but then they recall too late, allowing G2 to rush Baron with the Kalista, pick up the Baron, get another kill, and then return to base, and therefore keep the gold super even.
It's the same story for Giants. Audrey manages to dodge the Chana Kikis. Low tower here.
This is a play-by-play game.
No problem. Oh, it is. Oh, I love this, man. I know you're face palming, but I'm loving it.
I just need to rewatch this game because I need to figure out exactly what's going on for both teams because there's so many back and forth moves where it doesn't always seem planned. It just seems like, oh, enemies here, run towards them and just try and smack them down.
So I've got a league that you can watch. It's called the LPL.
It's very true.
Right now, that's what it looks like. It's very, let's kill the enemy team as fast as we possibly can, but sometimes they are demanding the consequences. Now, that's not every single team in China. Let's not overgeneralize.
Close to at the moment.
But at the moment, it's starting to look like it. The difference, though.
We would need more weird picks, though, Pyro. These picks are too standard.
That is very true. Wouldn't see LeBlanc mid. We'd see Kindred instead.
I like Kindred. Not too much as a mid laner.
These teams apparently don't.
Well, the thing about Kindred is when you early pick her, what teams, at least last week, got punished for was then the other team would pick Lee Sin into it. And always just like kick her out of her ulti, and it was very effective in team fights, and Kindred really then requires you to do well in the early game. Anyhow,
yeah,
we're gonna see more Kindred. She's still a fantastic pick, of course.
It's not this game, but what I really want to know is in this particular game, obviously both teams have been making power plays and then making mistakes and letting the gold and the advantage swing back the other way. The longer this game goes, who has the advantage if that trend continues? Who comes out on top if all things are equal in terms of making mistakes?
It's funny because both comps do extremely well in the mid game, but you gotta look at the side of Giants with the amount of magic damage. We talked about it before, how difficult that can be late on in the game. But I wouldn't, like, Kalista is not an insane late game carry. She needs like ton of time to stack these spears and get the rend damage, and you don't get that time against Lissandra and Lee Sin and Ahri. Like, these things will blow you up instantly. So it's gonna be difficult for Kalista to be the big carry. I do like LeBlanc's late game still though. Give her level 16, it's a big spike for her in damage. And there's so many squishy members on the side of Giants to take down. Which is why I think Giants could find themselves in a situation where Perkz needs one pick, and then G2 can just push into the base.
Perkz definitely doing some fancy work with the distortion. You see him jump back and forth just so he can grab the lantern there. Charm doesn't land. Still have to respect this burst damage you're talking about on the side of Giants. You can see Trick going a little low. Perkz finds some damage onto Ku. Hybrid gets a hook up onto Godfrey, but it won't be the one he wants. They're going to have to back out. Maybe not yet as the hook lands onto Peppy.
But it's the thing about this game here, Pyra, because there's so much damage on either side, so much burst coming in. Almost everything can happen, or anything can happen in the late game. Like one mistake, one guy getting caught out, and he can cost the entire game for his team. Like, he can lose it for his team, and it becomes so difficult then to predict exactly what's going to happen. Shen obviously does fall off in the late game. He just becomes a pure tank and nothing else. So a lot of it is going to be on Perkz to pick this one target. Giants with one defensive item on each member might be enough for him to say, okay, we can survive the burst coming from LeBlanc, and we can then engage ourselves, and we have enough damage on all these members to win the fight.
As you said, game is on a knife's edge. We'll just take a big mistake to turn it right on over. Giants starting to siege up the middle here. If they can't survive that burst damage, they should be able to pressure some things down. Not quite low enough yet. 2 steps forward, respecting that LeBlanc as they back away for the time being. But they're not responding right now to kick us on the bottom side. He has both his ultimate and his teleport available. Now Adam goes down. Walking the long way. They don't want to give anything up here. And I think both teams have recognized what you were talking about. They
slow down a little bit.
They don't want to go all action all the time. It's only 27 minutes, 28 minutes into the game. Obviously, that's late game for Europe right now.
Yeah.
But you want to let the game peter out a little bit more and get yourself in a confident position to start a fight.
And we have to remember, in the current meta here, the fact that your death timers are longer as well here in the game, it does mean that if you do play too aggressive, like we've seen these two teams do, again, that one mistake can just cost you almost everything, because it can be a Baron, into 2 towers, into inhibitors, and so on and so on. G2 are trying to race here. They have 2 guys on top side. Kikis is pulling back. He does have his ulti ready. And Giants are pushing mid lane.
Yeah, three members rather on the mid. That's going to cost a teleport, and another one prompted as you see Kikis coming in, but immediately Ku goes in onto Perkz, who backs right off. Inhibitor towers down. The inhibitor is soon to follow. Only Kikis and Hybrid are really there. Peppy gets played back in, but he's going to back right on out. Hybrid low on health, so is Kikis. The inhibitor stands, and Hybrid gets a big knockup thrown in by the Kalista, but he's almost popped on the back half of it. Perkz right in front, trying to take him out, but he only finds Godfred, a worthy sacrifice, and they just get the inhibitor for him. Audrey, though, he's caught, he's down. That changes everything. 3-4-0, and an inhibitor.
And we get another fight here. 40 seconds on Audrey. Peppy's still alive, but Perkz is chasing.
Looking for him.
Peppy needs to land the charm. When he sees the distortion coming in, if he can land the charm, he might be able to kill him.
Going to have to be an outplay for the ages. Perkz on the chase. Meanwhile, Ku is actually pinged out as he was being chased by the remaining members. But critically here, G2 aren't doing anything with these kills that they just got.
They're getting Baron.
They're trying to Baron.
Don't worry.
All right. They're going to take the Baron. My bad.
They're going to take the Baron.
Thought they were chasing Ku. Never mind. They got Baron Ashes.
Chasing the Baron.
There we go.
Oh, chop miss.
Peppy stays alive. Ay caramba. There he goes. Perkz on a killing spree.
All right, they get everything here then for G2. Baron, get another kill. That means Peppy is now dead for 45 seconds. That allows G2 to set up another push. Perkz can just recall super quick and then use the home guards out. Let's see the fight again. G2 with very strange base race at first against 5 guys. And then we get the big fight. Giant's not able to burst down anyone because he's on the Kikis. He can then ulti back on Hybrid, so everyone is still alive for G2. Second chain on Godfred, that's another kill. The Emperor is gonna flash for Peppy over in the bush here. And they catch on to Audrey, so just a very good chase from G2. And the fact they have a front line, Shen, Elise, and the Thresh taking the damage here, it allowed the 2 carries to do what they had to do to get the kills.
Ku just takes a massive chunk. Peppy just comes back up. He'll have to base, or Ku rather will, as G2 are pushing in to try and answer the inhibitor. With Baron-empowered minions versus the super minions the Giants are bringing out of the gates. 4-1 push with Kikis on the bottom. No response to that just yet. Giants will need to do it in a hurry if they can force a fight. And with Baron empowerment on all these members, it may not be the easiest thing for them to do.
Do you see the importance in having that front line though? If you can stand in front of the Ahri, force her to use her stuff on the Shen, on the Thresh, it just allows Perkz and Emperor to deal the DPS. What G2 used in the last one. I also think Giants got a little bit rushed. They wanted the inhibitor down and take the fight at the same time, and didn't manage to balance it too well.
Speaking of inhibitor, that turret is gone. This one could be soon. Super minions finished off by Emperor, but the rest of Giants are here. Not yet responding to Kikis. Perkz goes in, Perkz goes out. Now you see him, now you don't. Kikis has now once again rejoined his team. We're close enough to it, but he's immediately spotted. Tense moment here at the front gates of Giants Gaming.
No Void Staff yet for Peppy in the mid lane. Big issue when we just talked about how much magic resistance we see on the side of G2. I actually really like to get that in as a third item on Ahri. And he's been delaying it. Currently he's sitting on only 200 gold, so he's not even close to getting it. He won't have it for the next fight. So his damage is greatly reduced. Lissandra late game damage as well starts falling off more and more. It becomes almost better to just go in with your claw and then ulti yourself. Audrey though, he's aiming for Kikis.
Taunted up, but there is no backup, but there is a Stand United. Ku will kick him, and then he goes right back in. With the Baron empowerment, Kikis is trying to stay alive through it all. Meanwhile, G2, recognizing less people are at home, are trying to knock down the front door. Kikis is buying some time. Peppy's not really able to do anything about this. He's running away. Kikis, he's still alive. Ku should be able to finish him, and he does, but still in the middle. Trick Perkz and Emperor still able to knock down some more in the middle.
All right, so base is open now for G2. Kikis buying some time. I think he was just expecting it to be Audrey at first. Maybe joined by Godfred or something. Seeing as he decided to ulti away, didn't realize Ku was coming. Close. Didn't get it, but again, he bought enough time. G2 gets inhibitor. And really, again, such a back and forth. Giants had the lead, then they lost it, then they got it back, now they lost it again.
Can't wait to see the gold graph this game. That Baron power play Less effective than the last. You saw it pop up earlier. It's about 5,000 gold swing for this one. Still able to put themselves up ahead. You can see 4,000, almost 5, separating Giants and G2 at the moment. 34 minutes on the clock as Audrey does not take that much damage, but Peppy is another story. Spirit rushing out, Emperor looking for him, finds the last hit, throws Hybrid in as insurance, and the chase is on. Teleport in, they melt through Adam, and now they look for the rest. Audrey and Godfred in Perk's sights, the chains will whiff. Meanwhile, Ku is backing away ever so slowly. Trick Kickus, Perks, and Emperor looking to put a lid on this game. If they can pick the ace here, Godfred going so low, unbreakable no more, as Perks picks up a rampage kill. Audrey and Ku to defend. Can they do it? Ku's not even back yet.
He just recalled now, Pyra. He's here, but again, he's against so many members from G2. 4 guys pushing on the tower, no minions. Second wave is coming now.
They can move to the top side if they want this. Perks
should be able, of course they're able to finish it now.
Yep, Ku is gonna go down, nothing doing, melts through his health bar, double kill for the LeBlanc. Perks has come up massive this game, and he's distorted his way and G2's way to a big victory. G2, how about win 3?
This, however,